Welcome back to the Extravaganza. The show format for today only is going to be changed slightly. Obviously, we're going to be talking, me and Rob mostly, and talking to you guys in the chat about everything that happened yesterday. The ghoulish nightmare we found ourselves in as we watched the public assassination of Charlie Kirk. And the way in which this was done and the overwhelmingly powerless feeling that so many people had that this was done in front of thousands, done in front of his family, from what I understand. Absolute nightmare for anybody who does public discourse, IRL events. Could have been any of them, not just Kirk. And the brutality of the attack, especially when so many cameras were on it, was definitely a shot across the bow to try to demoralize the entirety of the right. Instead, I think they made a political martyr out of Charlie Kirk. Before we dive into the show today, Tucker, Rob just pulled this up shortly before we came on. Tucker Carlson started a Give, Send, Go for $5 million going to Charlie Kirk's wife. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, but hang on, Charlie was already rich, right? He was maybe worth millions, this and that. Well, all of that earning potential that he had for his family was taken away from his family yesterday. It was completely eradicated. The Wilsons will be giving heavily as well to that Give, Send, Go. And I strongly suggest that all of you do too. Tucker Carlson kicked it off with $1 million of his own money, wanting to make sure that while it is the case that we can't bring back Charlie Kirk, we can at least do what we possibly can do to buffer the blow against his family. And I think I can speak on behalf of most right-wing creators when I would say that I think Charlie Kirk would have done that for any other high-profile creator who was viciously by a lunatic leftist. People, how do you know it's a lunatic leftist? Like, come on, give me a come on. What's really funny here is there's nothing that demonstrates the ideological divide more than what happened yesterday. I want to show you this video clip to remind you of a recent debate that I had to show you the distinction in worldview.
Because war has at least the threat of danger in it. There's no danger here.
Oh my god,
we're all safe.
Oh man, okay, yeah, I know. That's what, and you can go and invest in French currency during World War II because people were still out buying their croissants and riding their bicycles around while German soldiers were on the corner with rifles. Just because you have adapted to the normalcy bias does not mean there's not ideological warfare going on in the United States. That's just absurd.
Again, there's not ideological war happening, and they don't need you to protect them. I've said that for the last 2 hours.
Nothing better to contrast the viewpoint between myself and a deranged leftist than that video clip. Within just a couple of days, it is the case that, as she says, we're not in the midst of an ideological war. This is what happens. Got Rob Knorr with me today. Thanks for coming on, Rob. Appreciate it very much. Always nice to have you here as a co-host. We are going to go over Dean Withers as he cries, even though I would say that his America tour probably contributed towards the merciless rhetoric of the left, feeling that they now can go and shoot right-wingers with wild abandon, essentially thinking that it's consequence-free or that they'll be praised as heroes for doing so.
Yeah, it's been something I've talked about for years. If you go back to the riots we saw after George Floyd, when you see the extreme violence of the left, remember, they're committing that violence while almost every institution's in their back pocket. So what will happen once they start to lose those institutions? Charlie Kirk wasn't assassinated because his positions were controversial or they were extreme. Charlie Kirk was assassinated because he deigned to have positions that differed from the left in any way, shape, or form. And he was successful and he was effective. And that's why they took him out. The lesson is, if you try to moderate to appease these people, you'll be taken out just the same. The only
Why are
thing
we
that-
assuming it's the left? Because we're not, dude. By the way, I don't know if you noted this morning, but Steven Crowder, one of his contacts, or at least at the ATF, is according to his sources seem to be pretty good, said that they found a pro-trans messaging engraved into the cartridges, which were still inside of the rifle, which was abandoned in the local woods. They recovered the rifle. It looks like it was a 30-06 Mauser, which means it was a converted rifle. So if that's the case, no, I'm sure that this was a right-wing trans advocate. Give me a break, dude.
Why would it matter anyways? The actual motivations, right? What you can see is the left is the one celebrating in mass today. Well, all of a sudden, if they find out that it was like some Iranian or something like that, they'll be like, oh, never mind. That's tragic what happened to Kirk. Of course not. They want you dead. That's who they represent. And the fact that we have to pretend and be like, well, wait. Let's wait for the specific facts and let's turn the other cheek. No, those days are done. The moderates died with that bullet. It's done being moderate. We're done with that.
Yeah, the center right, or what would be considered the moderate right, was assassinated and murdered right alongside Charlie Kirk. He acted as a bridge between the boomer right wing, the young college conservative, and the dissident right. Say what you want about his politics and the things that you disagreed with. Ultimately, that form of charisma, as Chatter rightly points out, I fear that Kirk has irreplaceable charisma, and we will lose our foothold on the college campuses. How do we reach the youth now? They are literally in the hands of the enemy in these college campuses. Well, that could have been the point of that very shot and why Kirk particularly was attacked. He was the gateway into the biggest establishment that the right has been trying to get a foothold in, academia. And he served as a counter to the massive left-wing indoctrination going on at the universities. That seems like very powerful motivation for a lunatic to take him out.
The numbers are stark from 2023 to 2025, according to polling. Young men believed 18 to 29 were 18% Democrat. And now in 2025, they are 22% Republican. That's a 44-point swing. I hope I got the math right on that. And Charlie Kirk was in the battle lines going into hostile territory, and through charisma, through intelligence, debate, and for being affable, was able to have that much of a swing for young men. And they can't tolerate that. The only thing that separates them wanting to kill Charlie Kirk versus everyone watching right now is just purely effectiveness. I assure you, they think your ideology is unacceptable, and therefore your death would be something to celebrate. The only reason they won't do it's because they don't know you, or they don't think you're effective enough right now. But it's a sad thing to realize that the more effective that anybody gets in this space, the more of a target's placed on your back, because all of us, no matter how moderate, have an ideology that they find unacceptable to their nihilistic, degenerate lifestyles.
Myron said he's going to all TPUSA events and will continue the college trips. The thing is I put out a statement earlier today. We will continue, the Crucible will continue its IRL events. I understand that there are now assassination protocols put in place by leftists. Now, you may not think that there are actual protocols, but the thing is we've been in these various Antifa calls, even when they were organizing the recent California riots. They do organize. And oftentimes what they'll do is they'll find mentally ill people inside of Discords and Telegram groups and get to work. They don't directly give them orders. What they do is they play on them for days, weeks, months, giving them a hero savior complex. And that's oftentimes what leads to these things. You start getting in the background of many of these shooters. So thing is like, we can't afford to drop the IRL. We can't do that. It's one of our greatest inroads. Can we take extra precautions, security measures? Can we do more of these events indoors instead of outdoors? Certainly. Right. But we can't afford to back off. Trump didn't. They almost Trump. They shot him and damn near killed him. But for a turn of his head, did Trump walk away from that having his head intact? It was luck of the draw, pure coincidence that happened. At the same time, the bullet, which was designed for him, skirted by the side of his skull. Ultimately, he did not cancel all of his outdoor events and his arenas and things like that because he knew that defiance was the order of the day. And that's exactly what the order of the day has to be for the right. Not one step back, guys.
It's not just a mantra. Like, this is the actual meaning of it. And Charlie was effective. He will be irreplaceable. But what you hope to see is that he inspires a generation, particularly of young men, to speak up on these campuses. And, I saw one video. This young girl, it's on a college campus. I don't remember where. She's taking a video as her fellow students are sharing the video in real time of Kirk being assassinated. And all the kids are celebrating and laughing. And she speaks up right to all. Like, she's like, how dare you, you ghouls? Why are you laughing at this man? Even if you disagree with him, he's a father. He's a family man. And they're getting, this is what he said. This is what he said about this. And so you hope that it inspires thousands of young people like that to say, no, we're not going to step back. And the more you try to silence us, the more we'll come out in force. And even if there's not one person that could replace Charlie, maybe thousands upon thousands of people speaking up can.
Yeah, the thing is we can't take the foothold that Kirk built in the inroads into academia for the purposes of stopping leftism and let it die with Kirk. That torch needs to continue. While I don't believe that TPUSA will be able to find another figurehead that's anything like Kirk, and for all intents and purposes, I think TPUSA is basically finished. It's never going to be the organizational powerhouse it was before, absent Charlie Kirk. And now the right is going to have to deal with that vacuum, and that power vacuum is coming soon. It'll start today, I guarantee it, if it hasn't started already. That's something that we're going to have to deal with internally. There is no more moderate right. It's now moving all to the dissident right, and that's the way it's going to be. But these college tours and these inroads, especially with youth who are moving right, especially men, we can't back off on that, guys. We can't do it.
They wasn't go ahead, Mystery.
You think the South Park guys might have been feeling a little guilty? Apparently, they just removed their episode mocking Kirk and MAGA influencers from cable.
Yeah, but here's the thing that's so funny, right? Is like he never cared. Kirk didn't care about that episode.
No.
That, you know what I mean? It was satirical. And by the way, I don't recall any call for violence in the episode. I just recall that it was satirically making fun of political commentators, which is something that happens all the time. South Park is in fact, it's kind of a mark for a celebrity if they're on South Park that they made it, right? Like that's kind of a mark of success in many ways, that you're getting roasted by South Park.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't mean to frame it as like they had called for it or contributed to it in some way, because all they really did was like poke fun at him. They didn't do like the typical news thing. Oh, he's a fascist. He's promoting fascism, which in my mind is, if you're calling somebody a fascist in America, you're promoting violence towards them.
Well, they know what they've done. They've indoctrinated for generations. While people on the right were worried about winning an individual election, people on the left were worried about indoctrinating our children and taking over the entertainment industry and taking over the tech industry and all of these things that control our actual culture. And so now, it doesn't shock me that you could go on places like X or Reddit or other places and see the vile hatred that's getting hundreds of thousands of likes from people celebrating the of Charlie Kirk. Of course I know these people exist. What shocks me is how they say it with their full names and how they have no fear whatsoever that there'll be any societal pushback on them, because they truly believe that they are morally righteous people and that your death is a morally righteous thing. That's what's shocking, that they don't fear any. And I'm not advocating violence against these people. What I'm saying is they don't fear that they're going to get fired. They don't fear that they're going to be shamed out of social circles. They think this is the right thing to do. We're righteous for doing this.
Yeah, I totally agree. Sam Hyde says, and I tend to agree with this, you're my boy, but I respectfully disagree. This is in response to somebody saying, please don't play the video of Kirk's assassination. He says, everybody needs to watch this because it could have been you. And it could have been me. And it could have been any of us exercising the First Amendment. You all need to know what our enemies want. They want this for all of us. They want your children growing up with dead fathers and mothers. All of the snark and the word games, moral posturing, and linguistic bullshit, and I'm paraphrasing there, this is what lies behind it: bloodlust.
It's absolutely right. And Sam Hyde's been saying this for a long time.
As a chapter leader in TPUSA, I want you to know we're going to continue fighting for young America, not one step back. We got it from here, Charlie, and it'll be up to you guys to continue.